Hi, let's talk about the rock cycle. This blue star is going to represent our rocks, our material going through the rock cycle. So as we know, everything starts out as magma. The earth was melted and molten, the entire surface, everything was melted. And so every single rock that exists today originally started out as magma. Then as it cooled, it turned into igneous rock. So the crust of the earth starting out would have been all igneous rock. Now, because the earth was still so very, very hot, some of this igneous rock melted, turned back into magma, and it cooled again and turned into more igneous rock. Now, as time went on, some of this igneous rock began to weather and weathering because of the elements, the extreme climatic changes. These igneous rocks got broken down into sediment, and some of this sediment then began to be compacted and compressed and turned into sedimentary rock. It was cemented together by chemical processes. So in the beginning, we would just have had clastic sedimentary rocks and chemical sedimentary rocks, but it was pushed together. And as we know, because the sedimentary rock is on the surface, it again would have been weathered down and returned back into sediment. But also, because the earth was still molten, some of it got melted back down and turned back into more igneous rock and weathered into sediment and turned back into more sedimentary rock. Now, with all the upheavals and changes, incredible changes over the millions and millions and millions of years, some of the sedimentary rock got buried deep underground. The shifting of the plates, etc. And as this sedimentary rock got pushed down into the earth, the heat and pressure down there, the incredible heat and pressure turned it into metamorphic rock, okay? Metamorphic rock is made from heat and pressure. Now, as we know, since it's already deep inside the earth, some of this metamorphic rock could have gotten melted, turned back into igneous rock, but even then, some of the igneous rock could have been forced down inside the earth with these same plate movements. It could have been exerted under heat and pressure and also turned into metamorphic rock. So this metamorphic rock made its way to the surface, where it underwent weathering and erosion, turned into sediment, which could have gone to sedimentary rock. So basically what we see, this rock cycle shows us that any kind of rock can be turned back into any other kind of rock or back into another rock of its own kind. There are three types of rock in the rock cycle. Igneous rock means fire rock. Igneous rocks are formed from molten rocks called lava or magma. Lava is what we call the melted rock when it reaches the Earth's surface through a volcano. The picture on the right formed from a volcano. These are samples of pumice. They are extrusive igneous rocks, meaning they formed outside of the crust. The sample on the left is a piece of granite. Granite is formed from magma inside the Earth's crust. It is called intrusive igneous rock. All rocks contain mineral crystals or grains. Grains grow as long as the rock material stays warm. Extrusive igneous rocks cool very quickly and have tiny to invisible grains. Intrusive igneous rocks, like the granite, have larger grains because the magma cools more slowly than the lava does. So hi guys, let's talk about the rock cycle. The rock cycle says that any kind of rock can turn into any other kind of rock. Any kind of rock can change into any other kind of rock. Well, in the rock cycle, we've got three different kinds of rocks. We have igneous rocks, we have metamorphic rocks, and we have sedimentary rocks. Okay. Well, first of all, let's talk about igneous rocks. Igneous means from fire rocks. And igneous rocks are made either from lava or magma. And as we know, the only difference between magma and lava is where they are. Magma is molten rock that's deep underground, where it stays warm. Lava is magma that's come out on top of the surface of the earth through a volcano or some other kind of fissure in the earth. There are two kinds of igneous rock. There are intrusive igneous rocks and there are extrusive igneous rocks. Now, intrusive kind of gives its name away. They're formed inside the earth. Now, granite is a very, very common type of intrusive igneous rock. And if you ever look at a sample of granite, you'll see there are all these different shapes and sizes in there. Well, those are the crystals. Now, another name for crystals would be grains. So if somebody says grains or crystals, they're talking about the same thing. Another thing to keep in mind, when you say crystals or grains, it can be fine grain, which is very, very small, or coarse grains. Now, of course, this piece of granite is very coarse. There are very large crystals in this. Okay, you can definitely see the different shapes and different minerals that make up a piece of granite. So again, granite is an intrusive igneous rock. It's formed from magma, and the reason the crystals are so large is because the magma cooled very, very slowly, and in order for crystals to grow, the material has to be kept warm. So, intrusive igneous rock, granite. Now we also have a sample of an extrusive igneous rock. Now this is basalt. Basalt is a very dense rock. It's formed from lava. This is formed on top of the earth. Magma came out of a volcano as lava. This is very much like what you'd find in Hawaii. The volcanoes in Hawaii, they produce basalt is their type of lava. So if you look at this, you will see some vesicles, and those vesicles are like air holes, gas bubbles, where when the lava was in the volcano, it was bubbling, gases coming up from inside the earth, and it formed these bubbles, but you really don't see the different size crystals. Extrusive igneous rocks have very, very fine crystals, very fine grains. In fact, I've got some samples of basalt, which is almost perfectly smooth, because the crystals, the grains just do not grow. Okay, so this is an extrusive. It went out the exit. It formed outside on the surface of the earth. Since it's out on the ground, it cools off very, very quickly. It could be on the ground or it could be underwater, because we have lots of underwater volcanoes. So again, igneous rock is fire rock. Okay, so we have two samples. We have the basalt, which is extrusive igneous rock, and we have the granite, which is intrusive igneous rock. Another one of the three types of rocks in the rock cycle are metamorphic rocks. Metamorphic rocks are formed from other types of rocks that have been changed by the incredible heat and pressure found deep inside the earth. Metamorphic rocks are like caterpillars changing into butterflies. There are two kinds of metamorphic rocks, foliated and non-foliated. Notice how the sample on the right has layers. It is foliated. The sample on the left is marble, and it is formed from limestone. The sample on the right is gneiss and is formed from granite. The second type of rock we have would be metamorphic rock. Metamorphic rock is formed deep inside the earth because it takes incredible amounts of heat and pressure to change it. So metamorphic rock is some kind of rock that's been changed into another kind of rock by incredible heat and pressure. So I have two samples here. There are actually two types of metamorphic rock. One is foliated, and if you can see there are layers, individual layers, where the different. This is something called gneiss, a type of rock called gneiss, and it's formed from granite. So each one of these layers used to be a layer of granite that got heated up and compressed by the incredible heat and pressure inside the earth. So if you can think of something, the amount of heat and pressure that it must have taken to heat this up and compress it into these layers. I mean, as you can see, it's the same kind of rock. Granite was changed into gneiss by the heat and pressure inside the earth. So foliated. Now, a way I like to remember about the foliated is, since it has layers, I think of my sheets or my towels, how they've been folded up into layers. You got the different layers. So foliated, think of folded, foliated. Okay? Now, another kind of metamorphic rock is non-foliated. Now, this is non-foliated. You don't see as many, the grains and crystals aren't quite as large. They're as easy to see. You don't really see any layers in this. But this is something called quartzite. And quartzite is formed from sandstone. Sandstone, and I have a sample of sandstone. Sandstone like this, which is a sedimentary rock, got forced deep, deep, deep underground, and because of incredible heat and pressure, the sandstone got reformed and changed into quartzite, okay? Quartzite. So quartzite is non-foliated because as you look at it, you don't see any particular layers of any sort there. So we have metamorphic rock. We have two types of metamorphic rock. We have foliated. Like I said, this is a piece of gneiss, and this is made from igneous rock. And here we have a piece of quartzite, and this quartzite was actually formed from sedimentary rock, something called sandstone. Okay? So, foliated and non-foliated, these are two samples of metamorphic rock, which were formed deep inside the earth from incredible heat and pressure. The third type of rock in the rock cycle are sedimentary rocks. All sedimentary rocks begin as small particles of other rocks called sediment. Weathering of rocks creates the sediment. Sedimentary rocks form on or near the Earth's crust. You can see the sediments in this sample. There are three types of sedimentary rocks. This is an example of a clastic sedimentary rock called conglomerate. Clastic sedimentary rock is formed from sediment that is cemented together. You can see some individual pieces of sediment in this piece of conglomerate. This is a piece of sandstone. It is also clastic sedimentary rock. The pieces of sediment that it is composed of are much smaller. Another type of sedimentary rock is chemical sedimentary. These are samples of chemical sedimentary rocks. They were formed from minerals that were dissolved in super hot water. The sample on the left is a gypsum rose formed from dissolved gypsum. The sample on the right is a piece of calcite. Rock salt is another example of chemical sedimentary rock. It forms from super salty water as the water evaporates. The third kind of sedimentary rock is called organic. This is an example of the third type of sedimentary rock called organic sedimentary rock. It is formed from the remains of living things such as seashells in the piece of limestone. Coal is another type of organic sedimentary rock, and it is formed from ancient plants. You can easily see the outline of a seashell in this piece of limestone. Fossils are only found in sedimentary rocks. Can you explain why this is true? Our third type of rock would be sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks. Now, sediment is when other rocks get broken down through a process called weathering. Weathering and erosion carries those particles away, but any kind of rock can be weathered. In fact, when the Earth was first formed, the whole entire surface of the Earth was covered with nothing but igneous rock because it was molten, it was melted. And then over time, that igneous rock had to be weathered and corroded and broken down into bits and pieces of sediment. And then this sediment eventually some of it turned into soil. But then also this sediment began to cling together or be changed into sedimentary rock. Okay, there are three kinds of sedimentary rock. The first we're going to talk about is made from particles of sediment. And this is sandstone, and it's not so very easy to see the different particles. However, we have another kind of sedimentary rock. This is breccia, and as you can see, it's definitely big chunks of other kinds of rocks. You can see the different colors, and it almost looks like cement, but this is not a man-made product. This is nature-made. This is natural type of cement. And so this type of sedimentary rock is called clastic sedimentary rock because the particles cling together. They cling together. These types of sedimentary rock are formed when sediment is compacted, squeezed together like you're making a mud pie or a snowball, the compaction, and then it's actually cemented together. So clastic is compacted and cemented. CCC, triple C. Clastic is compacted and cemented together by natural cement, and the particles cling together. So clastic clings together, these bits and pieces. If you rub this, you can actually feel the sandy particles, and of course here you can see the different bits and pieces. So this is the first type of sedimentary rock. This is clastic, and it clings together. Another type of sedimentary rock is organic. Now this is a nice chunk of anthracite or bituminous, I think this is bituminous coal. But coal is an organic sedimentary rock because this is actually made from the remains of ancient plants and mosses and ferns and things that were created millions and millions of years ago. And over the millions of years, it's been changed slowly into an organic type of sedimentary rock. Now, there are other types of organic sedimentary rock, like limestone. Limestones are very common, throughout the world. You find lots of layers of limestone. Here in Georgia, one of the primary types of rock that we find a little bit deeper underground would be limestones, lots of limestones. Okay, we really don't have a lot of coal here in Georgia, maybe a little bit up in the very mountains of the North Georgia mountains. But down here in the south, the closest thing we have to coal is the Okefenokee Swamp, where you have the type of vegetation which will eventually, millions of years from now, it can turn into coal itself. But the second type of sedimentary rock would be organic sedimentary rock, of which coal and limestones are examples. Okay, now the third type of sedimentary rock is called chemical sedimentary rock. Chemical sedimentary rock. Now, this is a piece of kaolin, kaolinite or kaolin. This is a very, very fine grade of clay, which we here in southern Georgia, we have incredible deposits of kaolin. Kaolin is a valuable clay. It's used for paper products and expensive dishware and just other things. It's also used now for in the gas and oil industry to create a product that helps with fracking. And you can look that up and learn more about fracking. But this is chemical sedimentary. Now, in my hand here, I have a sample of feldspar. Now, feldspar is a mineral, and it's quite a hard mineral, okay? It will actually scratch glass. It's just a little bit, the hardness is just a little bit less than quartz. But feldspar is a very, very hard rock, very hard mineral. Now, millions of years ago, Georgia had incredible deposits of feldspar underground, okay, available here. And this feldspar, since this part of Georgia was, a long time ago, was buried was under the ocean, this feldspar being exposed to all that salt water for millions of years slowly changed chemically from being this hard mineral into this kaolin, which, as you can see, is very, very soft. It's a very, very soft mineral, it's a very soft rock. So this is a chemical sedimentary rock. It's chemically changed from this into this. So we have three kinds of sedimentary rock. We have clastic sedimentary rock, clastic, which clings together. It's made out of sediment. We have organic sedimentary rock, in this case coal, which contains bits and pieces of ancient organisms or living things. And we have chemical sedimentary rock, which one kind of rock was chemically changed usually through some kind of process into a new kind of sedimentary rock. So, to kind of recap, we have igneous rocks, we have metamorphic rocks, and we have sedimentary rocks. In the rock cycle, any kind of rock can be changed into any other kind of rock. Okay?